Malik Reneau is the most important player for the Indiana Hoosiers down the stretch.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you making this your first listen each and every day. And folks, we are growing like crazy on YouTube. If you have not subscribed already, please do so. Like the video. Helps us grow, helps us get out there. We're almost at 1,800 subscribers, okay? It took us a little bit to get to 1,700, but man, you guys have jumped on it. We crushed that goal. Let's get to 1,800 by this weekend. Let's see if we can do it, all right? We're at 1,768, so thank you so much for doing that. If you're on audio, thank you so much as well. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Malik Reneau is the most important player down the stretch for the Indiana Hoosiers. And we'll talk about it. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why that is. Because if Indiana wants to make a run here, the Hoosiers want to try and go and make the NCAA tournament, Malik Reneau has got to be the player that they focus on, all right? We have that on the schedule for today. Plus, we're going to take a look at what you had to say following the win over Ohio State. It's been a fun segment for me, and I think you're enjoying that as well. Plus, we're going to look at what Mike Woodson had to say following the win over Ohio State as well. Malik Reneau for Indiana. He is your leading scorer. He averages 16 points a game behind or in front of Khalil Ware, who averages almost 15 points a game, Trey Galloway at 11, and Mackenzie Mbako at 11. But it's not just the leading the team in points that is the reason I think Malik Reneau is the most important. Yes, that's huge, and that is a key factor here. Okay, that is a key factor because you got to have him. And you saw what he could do the other night against Ohio State. It's not just the fact that he's your leading scorer. It's the fact for me that Malik Reneau is the most consistent player on this team. He is your go-to guy that is there night in and night out. Look at these point totals for Malik Reneau this season since the Auburn game. All right, since the Auburn game back in December, on December 9th. Okay, we remember that was a game that was ugly for Indiana. He has 15, 13, only had 6 against Moorhead, didn't have anything crazy there. 25 against UNA, 34 against Kennesaw State, 14 against the Nebraska in a loss, 23 against Ohio State in a win, 13 against Rutgers in a loss, 16 against Minnesota in a win, 8 against Purdue in a loss, 28 against Wisconsin in that loss, 21, had 2 against Iowa, but of course he got hurt, had 16 against Penn State, and 26 versus Ohio State. I love Khalil Ware. I do. I love Khalil Ware a lot, but it just seems like with Khalil Ware, it's not as consistent with him. And you look at his totals since the Auburn game, it's similar, but there's a 6 in there, 5, 8, 8, right? And while he's dealt with some nagging injuries, we know Malik Reneau has gotten hurt. I mean, he was injured, and we were worried if he was going to play again this season. And I also think that when you look at just this Indiana team as a whole, I really just feel like Malik Reneau is the one that pushes everything. Now, either one of them could be that. Let me state that right now. Either one of them could be that. But I just feel like Malik Reneau's got a little bit more going for him right now. I think he's got a little bit more oomph. I think he's got a little bit more muscle. I think he can work inside a little bit more. He's more of your physical grinded out, whereas Khalil Ware is, I'm 7 foot tall. I'm just going to try and flick it over you and hope it goes in. And a lot of times it does. A lot of times it does. And we know that Indiana's go-to on offense is get it in the paint and hope something happens, right? That's what this team wants to do because that's about all they've got. And that's about all we've seen so far this season because of the inconsistent shooting from the outside and the guards unable to make plays and make baskets. Now, hopefully that picks up, and I think we've started to see that a little bit. But if the Hoosiers want to go on a run and start to beat some people that they're not supposed to beat, starting with Purdue this weekend when you're going up against Zach Edey, yeah, Malik Reneau is going to have a great game. And it may be him or it may be Khalil Ware, because you saw what happened against Ohio State. They started doubling one, then you got to go to the other one. And the Hoosiers have to take advantage of that. They have to understand they cannot, and I don't care who it is, they can't stop them both. They can't stop Khalil Ware and Malik Reneau at the same time. It's the whole pick your poison phrase, right? That's what's going to happen against everybody. And sure, Purdue has got Zach Edey. There's not a whole lot you can do with him. Play physical. You can get him off his game a little bit. Somehow, if Indiana could get him in foul trouble, then we're talking, right? Then we're in business. But I think Malik Reneau has got to be your go-to guy. I think he has to be the one that makes this team go. Win or lose, he has to have the most points. He has to have his touches. There should almost never be a possession where he doesn't get the basketball, because I can count so many times against Ohio State, man, he was down there posted up, ready to go, and they weren't giving it to him enough. And that's crazy for a guy that played extremely well, right? That's crazy for a guy that against Ohio State had 26 points. He shoots the ball really well. He's a high-level scorer. And while his free throws may not be the best, I mean, he's not going to shoot threes either. He gets rebounds. He gets the ball. He gets points. He also distributes it a little bit as well. I just think he's a really smart player. And I think you can see the work that he put in over the summer. I know a lot of people have talked about that, but you can tell that he put that work in, and it's paying off right now. And look, I don't want him going anywhere. I want him staying right here in Bloomington. I want Indiana to keep this guy for as long as they can. You've got to show him the love. You've got to give him the ball. You've got to make him the focal point on offense moving forward if you're Mike Woodson in Indiana. And that starts this Saturday against Purdue. If they double him, then you go to Khalil Ware and you make him the guy. But I think right now, Malik Reneau is the most important player down the stretch for the Indiana Hoosiers. Well, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, we'll take a look at what you had to say following the Ohio State win for the Hoosiers this past game. And there's some spicy comments on YouTube, man. We're going to talk about all of those coming up in just a second on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday, man, you get all your friends together, you get your drinks, you get your snacks, and you sit down with FanDuel and you start saying, all right, what are we betting on? What are we picking? What are we going over under on? Gatorade, national anthem, all that good stuff. That's my favorite part about the Super Bowl. And with FanDuel, they have so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown. I think Travis Kelce. How many points will be scored? I think quite a few, and so much more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. I appreciate you making this your first listen each and every day. Let's take a look at what you had to say following the Indiana win over Ohio State in the midweek. And look, I'll be honest, there were some spicy comments on here, folks. I can't even lie to you, man. It is, you guys get fired up, and I love it, right? Indiana fans, we are a passionate bunch about this basketball team. And you know, there's a very common theme here on these comments, and I understand. I do. I get it, but I also don't fully agree with it. So we're going to talk about that here right now. And here's how I worded on the latest episode on YouTube. I said, Hoosiers escape right? And I think that's exactly what happened. I think Indiana escaped with a win over Ohio State 76-73. Here's what you had to say. And these are on the YouTube comments. So be sure when we post reaction episodes, go on there, comment, engage. Love seeing and hearing from you. A lot of people are saying, why are we celebrating a win over Ohio State, the second worst team in the Big Ten? I get it. I do. I absolutely get it. But I think we can all agree that in this season, a win's a win. In this season of college basketball, a win's a win. In this season of the Big Ten, a win is a win. And in most importantly, a win or a year like this year for this Indiana team in particular, a win is a win because they have not been easy to come by in case you haven't noticed. So sure, should the Indiana standard be celebrating a win over the second worst team in the Big Ten and the Buckeyes? No, it shouldn't. But guess what? This isn't the Bob Knight days right now. This is the Mike Woodson days that are not very pretty. Indiana's not at the mountaintop. Indiana is not one of the best teams in college basketball right now. They are historically, and they can be, and they will be. But guess what? They're not there right now. We are not there right now. So, yeah, we are going to celebrate a win over Ohio State because that's what teams do. That's what fan bases do. You celebrate wins over teams in conference play. I don't care. I don't care how it happens. It's a big deal. This person says IU won because Ohio State guessed wrong on who to double, Ware or Reneau. They chose Ware, and it shows in his stats, but Reneau picked up the slack and got the job done for his team, something we've talked about on this episode today, and I kind of agree. Not to beat on Cups, he is doing about the best you could expect for a freshman, but him at point guard means the opponents will always be doubling Reneau or Ware because they know Cups can't shoot. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That is Charles James, 4956. I'm with you on that. Look, I've said it before. I like Gabe Cups. He plays with a lot of energy. He did, especially early this season as well. And look, he plays really good defense too, but he's not a threat offensively. He's not a threat offensively, man. He's a non-factor offensively. You're playing 4-on-5 with him on the floor. And I've told you my fix. Play Leal. Play Anthony Leal. Play Anthony Leal. He has proven in the last few games that he is your guy. He is proven that now. Will he continue to play like that? I don't know. But give the guy a chance, especially on the offensive end of the floor. This person says, never complain about a win, but how many layups did the Hoosiers miss? Seems like layups are Woody's offense, even when we can't, even when we can't shoot them. Yeah, and a lot of those are inside shots from Ware and Reneau, and some of them were from the guards, absolutely. And we know Mackenzie Mbako has been struggling inside the lane too. I'm with you on that. I mean, look, you got to knock your layups down, man. You got to knock down your shots. And I go back to Mackenzie Mbako because he's been scoring the rock, but his shooting percentage has been pretty abysmal. And that is a lot of close shots, layups, quick, short jumpers. Like all those things have to be better for Indiana if they want to go on some little bit of a run. I didn't see this comment, but it works right into today's episode. This is Dylan Bowles on YouTube. He says, most important players on the roster right now, 1 through 10. This is interesting. Malik Reneau, Trey Galloway, Khalil Ware, Anthony Leal, Mbako, Gabe Cups at 6, CJ Gunn at 7, Peyton Sparks, Caleb Banks, and Xavier Johnson at the bottom. And he says, tell me I'm wrong. I don't fully agree with that list, but I do like Malik Reneau at the top. I do like Malik Reneau at the top. I would put Khalil Ware at number 2. I think that's 1 and 2 at the top right there, just because they are your only legitimate scoring threats night in and night out. Trey Galloway, we know he's got the potential to do that, but it's just not been there every single game. But I do think he's very important for this team, especially if he plays with the energy on defense that we saw against the Buckeyes. If he continues playing like that, absolutely, Trey Galloway is near the top. I still think Mbako's a key piece here because he can get hot at any time. And he's about the only one from behind the arc that can do that. And if the Hoosiers are going to beat somebody like Purdue this weekend or beat Wisconsin, who is just falling from the mountaintop right now, falling off the cliff, trying to find anything to hold on to as they're just completely dying right now, if they're going to beat somebody, if we are going to take down a big opponent like that, Trey Galloway is important, but Mackenzie Ibaka is going to have to hit some big shots. So I would put him a little bit higher on your list there, Dylan. Michael Hastings says Leo has everything to do with Galloway doing great. Leo setting up the offense. Trey did not have to do it at all. And look, I said this, Anthony Leo played really, really well, but I think Trey Galloway orchestrated the offense nicely, but I think Leo did too. And I want to see him at point guard. I want to see him play at the point guard spot. Why not? At this point in the season, what do you have to lose? Because Xavier Johnson, I don't think he plays this weekend against Purdue. I just don't. And you are already thin at the guard spot if you don't go down that bench. So I think he handled himself really well. And so why not play Anthony Leo? Why not take that pressure off of Trey Galloway or Gabe Cupps and put it on another guy that so far in very limited time has proven that he can do it? Let's see. This person says loved almost everything that you said, but the last play wasn't designed to get Leo a three, which is, yeah, when you go back and watch it, it was more designed to get kind of down low on one of the big guys and wasn't necessarily a three-pointer, but that's how it was drawn, or that was an option, I should say, in that play. And look, it worked. Leo knocked it down, and you love to see it. It's just crazy to me that on that play, that's even an option for this Indiana team, that there's somebody on that three-point line, and that's an option to say, hey, pass it to him. I know he was open, and I know he knocked it down, but I think you get what I'm saying here. Indiana just, you're trying to go inside as much as you can, come off a back screen on either the weak or the strong side block or even on the weak side block and try to get that bounce pass layup off the inbounds pass. Michael says, always good to get a win, especially when your team comes from 18 points down with 18 minutes to go in the game. Reneau, Galloway, and Leo were great. Leo has earned the opportunity to be on the court for some extended playing time. Retweet right there. Bingo. People forget that Indiana was down by 18 points in this game. Fans are forgetting that we had to come back from the biggest deficit this year and come back and win this game on the road at Ohio State. I know it's the Buckeyes. I know. And I know they're the second worst team in the conference. But, man, look around college basketball. It's not pretty right now. It's not pretty by any means. Teams are losing all over the place on the road. And the Hoosiers just did that. They went and won on the road. Can they build off of it? It's been the big question we've had all year long. And we'll see if they can do it. One more. This person says, hell of a fight. We need a win like this. This team is starting to feel more like an actual cohesive unit and not just some dudes playing pickup together. I like that. I think that's a really good way to put it. Now, can they keep doing that? I don't know. But I think you saw that team aspect out of our guys on this game against Ohio State on Tuesday because they just wanted it a little bit more. They were playing together, having fun. It wasn't always that way, but they started making that little comeback, and it really felt that way. And it did feel like a team more than, some pickup basketball at the YMCA, right, or at Planet Fitness. So I like that. And overall positive comments, but I understand where some are coming from. And I think there'll be a lot more positive comments if we try to beat Purdue this coming Saturday. Final segment coming up on Locked On Hoosiers. We'll take a look at what Mike Woodson had to say following the Ohio State loss, the things he liked, the things he didn't like, and what he's looking forward to coming up for Indiana. That'll be on the final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. And right now, all users get $100 off when they buy a big game ticket with code VEGAS100 with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Some of my favorite parts about the Game Time app: easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Doesn't matter what you're looking for, they've got it all. And the views from your seat in every single venue. Click on the seat, gives you a view so you know exactly what you're buying before you buy it. You also, not only can you see the view from your seat, you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and they're all in prices. Show your total upfront so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Plus, you can buy tickets in literally just 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Right now, all Game Time users get $100 off a big game ticket with code Vegas100. If you're going out to the big game, buy a ticket on Game Time. They're going to give you $100 off with the code Vegas100. Or if you're not going to the game, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. I appreciate you making this your first listen. Each and every day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Final segment on the show, and looking at what Mike Woodson had to say following the Indiana win over Ohio State. And, you know, it really is interesting to me, just the mixed reviews on what Woodson had to say, and really on just the win itself, because I know it's not just the sexiest win. I know it's not a win over Purdue, but it is a win. And to go on any sort of a winning streak, you got to start with one. And I think there are a lot of good things to take from this game. And Mike Woodson had that to say itself, talking about just kind of the leadership and this team coming back to win a game like this. He said it means a lot. He said it's how it should be. He said, I think back to when I played, the coach put it on the senior guys to lead and do things to help us win, hold other guys accountable. I thought tonight Gallo was huge in the second half. Our defense was solid. You hold this team to 31 points. That was a difference in getting back in the ball game. So a lot of praise. He goes on to talk more about Trey Galloway, and I'm with him on that, man. Trey Galloway stepped up in a big way, and not just offensively. Leadership, heart, effort, defense, hustle plays, those things that we know are in there. And this is the thing that I complained about yesterday is, why is that not there all the time? Why is it that you've got to make a big comeback against Ohio State to get the effort like that from Galloway? Maybe this sparked it. I don't know. We're going to find out. And what's really going to frustrate me is if we get to Saturday night at Purdue and this team comes out just dead. If Galloway comes out just not really doing anything, and it takes it until the second half to get that fire sparked up again. That shouldn't be the case here, right? Play like that all the time. And when you play like that, this team has chances to win ball games. Woodson had this to say about Anthony Leal's three-pointer at the end and the confidence he has in him. He said, quote, confidence level is he's on the floor, letting him go and crunch. No matter who makes the shot, you have a wide open shot and you deliver for us. That's what basketball is all about. And you try to put people in position to be able to come through. You live with it. And if they don't come through, you live with that and hope the next time you're in that position, they do come through. Not the greatest quote in the world, but I get what he's saying. It's a very basketball quote. It's a very old school quote where he's basically saying, I don't care who you are. I don't care what the situation, well, I care what the situation is. I just don't care who it is. If we draw up a play for you and you've got a shot, I trust you to knock it down. And guess what? Anthony Leal did just that. If he doesn't knock it down, you console the guy and you move on. If he finds himself in that spot next time, you hope he does. Or maybe you put somebody else in that position. But at this point, how many people on this team have proven that they can do that? Not very many, which is why I am an Anthony Leal fan. On if that's the shot that Woodson wanted, this is a great question because there's been a lot of debate on that final play. Here's what Woodson said on if that was the shot he wanted. That's the shot we got. It counts. So that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And again, I think it goes back to, I don't think that's the shot they were looking for, but it is the shot they got and it went in. And you're right, Woody. That is all that matters. He went on to have more to say about Trey Galloway. He was asked what changed defensively in the second half. He said, we were all over the place. He said, they weren't running away in the first half, the fouling, and we gave them easy buckets, which is so true. You got to give them credit. They're a proud basketball team. He said, but we started to cut the lead. Our defense got even tougher at that time. We were rebounding the ball, which is true. That was big emphasis coming in our place. It wasn't even close on rebounds. We came in and tried to win the rebounding game and give ourselves a chance. And it's crazy how such a simple stat, just rebounds. It's not attractive, not sexy, not going to be highlighted a whole lot. but it has such an impact on the game, and it has such an impact on our Hoosiers team, because when they go and get rebounds, they're limiting the other team's shot attempts. And Indiana has to do that because, like I've said before, they can't get in running guns and offensive shootouts with teams. So you need those one-and-done trips by Ohio State and Purdue and Northwestern and all those teams. You need a tough shot, grab the defensive board, and let's go the other way. We can't afford to have 2, 3, 4 attempts per possessions because we can't keep up with that. So Indiana did a really good job in that second half, going to the boards and really picking up the pace there. Malik Reneau's frustration, how he overcame that. He said it was tough, the call. I thought it was goaltending. Yeah, that tough. That was a call late, but I think I agreed with it. Maybe it wasn't. He thought it was too. Emotionally, he kind of lost it. You can't do that, but he didn't stop playing. You got to move on to the next play. The whole group is just solid bringing it home tonight. And I think that showed the maturity of Malik Reneau. I really did. I think he showed, he got emotional because it was an emotional game, but he was able to reel it in and finish out the game. And then on the comeback, and this is where we'll leave it, just stay focused, said head coach Woodson. We've had some runs at home this season when we were down and made some big runs and ended up catching up and winning the game. But you don't like being in those positions very often. The focus was there. We didn't quit. We just kept fighting and fighting until we finally made things bounce our way. The result was a win. And I think the goal's got to be, Woody, quit going down by so much. Quit going down by double digits. Now, this was in a game against a bad Ohio State team. Every time you've played a good team, you've gone down by double digits. Auburn, Kansas, Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois, right? You've had those games where you've gone down big. On Saturday against Purdue, we cannot afford to go down by double digits because I don't think we can come back by double digits on the road at their place. That has to be a goal. Keep it close. Hell, get a lead if that's possible and try to put that thing away and get your biggest win of the season. But Indiana does beat Ohio State 76-73. That's what head coach Woodson had to say. That's what you had to say. And again, Malik Reneau has to be the go-to player for this team if they want to make a run and get to the NCAA tournament. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. I appreciate you making this your first listen each and every day. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It helps us grow. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're making that push. So thank you so much. And reminder, we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Tomorrow, we'll have a full breakdown of Indiana and Purdue, that game coming up on Saturday night. So until then, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.